All right, Wednesday the 25th, confusing day today. So let's go over the alerts. So this is the alerts from last night, and it was pretty strange. Within about 10 or 15 minutes after I posted the NASDAQ, which was a short at 11,910, the short triggered. And by the time I woke up this morning, all indices except the Russell were way below the trigger. And also today was oil inventory, and I don't like to trade oil unless it's fairly far from 1030. Once we get close to 1030, I disable the well, way before 1030. I disable the auto trader because I don't want to trade any time near the inventory numbers. And then I just forgot to put it back on. And the long on oil was at 80.91, and I think the high was like 81.20 something. So it would have worked out, but I did not have the auto trader turned on oil. So let me show you what I did catch. So the only two instruments that I was able to catch this morning was gold. So gold was a trigger short at 1927. So that was a short on gold. And the Russell was a short at 1882, and that triggered around 7:30 a.m. And again, by this point, all the other indices were way below the trigger. But I did have some trades in the room, which I want to talk about. All right, so a few minutes before the open, 9:21, I was saying that even though the Nasdaq was way below the trigger again was at 910, and at 921, the Nasdaq was trading at around 710, 705, and I basically said, well, what I really expect, even though we were below the trigger, 732 and 760 pretty much must be hit. And the confirmation for that is to trade above 704. If, however, they fail at 704, as I wrote here, they're going to 635. So when the market opened, so here, this is the first 3-minute bar, I was expecting a move higher, but of course I did not have a confirmation to go long. So while I was sitting on my hands and doing nothing, a lot of the members in the room were actually taking shorts because there was a short setup. And of course, I did write that below 704, they'll be going to 635, they went to 635. They actually spiked it, but I kind of stayed frozen, expecting a move higher to 732 and 760, because I knew that if they would not do that, if they would not come near 732 and 760, the high here was 724, which is not good enough. Then would have to go down to 11,000, like 410. I just did not see it happening. So whereas most of the group were taking short trades, I got nothing out of this. And from there, things actually went from bad to worse. Let me show you the S&P chart. So in the S&P, at around 10:30, I began to look at the higher time frame charts, and I said the 180-minute chart, it's really pointing to 64 and then 53. So some of our members actually took that ES short, but I was waiting for a bounce first. So again, I missed out. Even though I called the trade, I did not take it, and I missed out on a move down to 64. The low was like 64, pretty much 63.50. But I also said 53 probably should also be touched. So they bounced up from 64, and I was looking to get short toward 39.53. So I had one short at 82 and got stopped at 86, and the other short at 90 and got stopped at 94. So I had two losing trades, fairly small, 4 points each one, but did get stopped on two trades. At which point I walked away. I have a building on my property that I turned into a home gym. I just went there and just needed some time away because when things are not working, just get away from the charts, get away from the screen, find something else to do. In my case, I enjoy the gym, so I went to the gym. Now, when I came back, the picture was very different. The chart was no longer bearish, and I pretty much accepted the fact that they're not going to 39.53, and now the opposing level to that 39.53 was a move back up, as amazing as it was to believe at that time, to 4,036. In between, there was an 08, 14, and 22. So I began to advise that as long as they're above 97, there should be a move to 08, 4008, and 14. So that definitely worked out, and at least I was able to cover the losses. Now later on, I also advised the trigger for the S&P was 4018. But as we got near 4018, I really advise not to take that short because we're probably going to hit 22 and higher. So sure enough, we hesitated around the trigger short. I advise people not to take this short, and we hit 22. Now, the only unfortunate thing is I was waiting for a confirmation to go to 36, as I wrote here. If by 2:30 p.m. they close above 22, but actually at 2:30 they closed right at 22. Here they are, right here, 22, 2:30. They were right at 22. So I had no confirmation to go long for 36 into the end of the day, but then they did manage to get to the high of 36, maybe 35.75. Over here, we still have some time. They might actually reach the full 36. So, very confusing morning. In the beginning, I was struggling a bit. The afternoon was a lot better. This was my NASDAQ long, actually. We had a long setup over here, which I took, which also helped me to be positive for the day as far as the room trades go. The trade alerts from last night, like I said, they only caught two charts. Both were positive. Yeah, so very impressive recovery for the indices today, especially the S&P and the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, of course, went way beyond the 732 and the 760 that I was expecting. The move lower, I must admit, was surprising, at least to me. And again, surprising when the S&P could not go lower than 39.64. So in the morning, first I missed the shorts. And then when I decided to go short, they were strong. So after a confusing morning, the afternoon was a nice recovery. We had some great trades on the long side. All right, guys, that's all for today.